Imagine a colossal mountain range, so vast it seems to stitch an entire continent together. This is the Andes, a geological marvel that stands as the backbone of South America, shaping the land, the climate, and the very fabric of life across the continent. Stretching for an astonishing 8,900 kilometers, the Andes is the longest continental mountain range on Earth. It forms a formidable spine of rock and ice, running unbroken along the western edge of South America, from the sun-drenched Caribbean shores of Venezuela in the north to the windswept, icy reaches of Argentina in the south. The Andes is a world of superlatives, a place of dramatic extremes where nature's power is on full, breathtaking display. Towering peaks, some soaring nearly 7,000 meters above sea level, pierce the sky, their slopes draped in glaciers that have endured for tens of thousands of years. These icy giants are remnants of the last ice age, their slow movement carving deep valleys and shaping the land below. The sheer scale of the Andes is almost beyond comprehension. In places like the Altiplano of Bolivia and Peru, the range broadens to over 330 kilometers, forming immense high-altitude plateaus. These vast windswept expanses, perched thousands of meters above sea level, are among the largest and highest plateaus on Earth, outside of Tibet. The average elevation of the Andes is a staggering 4,000 meters. At these heights the air is thin, oxygen is scarce, and temperatures can swing dramatically between day and night. Life here is forced to adapt in extraordinary ways, with unique flora and fauna evolving to survive in the harsh high-altitude environment. The Andes is not a single uniform wall of rock, but a complex mosaic of parallel ranges, deep valleys, and high-altitude basins. These mountains are a powerful force in shaping the continent's weather. As moist air from the Amazon basin rises and cools against the eastern slopes, it releases torrents of rain, feeding lush cloud forests. Meanwhile, the western slopes lie in the rain shadow, creating some of the driest deserts on Earth. The Andes is a living, breathing entity, its presence felt in every gust of wind, every shifting cloud, and every drop of rain. The mountains create a patchwork of microclimates, from humid cloud forests teeming with life to arid, sun-baked slopes where only the hardiest plants can survive. A journey through the Andes is a journey through a vertical world. One can begin in the lush, misty cloud forests clinging to the eastern slopes, ascend to the stark, windswept grasslands of the Puna, and climb higher still into the Janca, a realm of permanent snow and ice, where only the most resilient forms of life endure. Descending the western slopes, the landscape transforms yet again, becoming ever drier until it merges with the Atacama Desert, the driest non-polar desert on Earth. Here, rainfall is so rare that some weather stations have never recorded a single drop. The Andes is a showcase of geological diversity. Salt flats, volcanic peaks, mineral-rich soils, and ancient rock formations tell the story of a land shaped by tectonic forces over millions of years. The range is still growing as the Nazca Plate continues to push beneath the South American plate, causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions that reshape the landscape. The Andes is home to an astonishing array of wildlife, many species found nowhere else on Earth. The mighty Andean Condor soars on thermal currents above the peaks, while herds of vicuñas graze on the sparse grasses of the high plains. Amphibians, reptiles and insects have evolved remarkable adaptations to survive the cold, thin air and intense ultraviolet radiation. The mountains are dotted with crystalline alpine lakes, their waters fed by glacial melt and reflecting the jagged peaks above. In the brief Andean summer, wildflowers burst into bloom, painting the slopes with vibrant colors, while mosses and lichens cling to rocks, eking out a living in the harshest conditions. Volcanic activity is a constant presence in the Andes, with hundreds of volcanoes, some still active, dotting the landscape. Fumaroles and steaming vents hint at the immense forces at work beneath the surface, while mineral-rich soils support unique plant communities. Weather in the Andes can change in an instant. Snowstorms sweep over the highest peaks while dramatic cloud formations race across the sky. Sunlight breaks through the clouds, illuminating the mountains in a constantly shifting play of light and shadow. The cloud forest of the eastern slopes are among the most biodiverse places on Earth, home to rare orchids, bromeliads and ferns. Hummingbirds dart among the flowers, while butterflies and other insects thrive in the humid, sheltered environment. Deep valleys and canyons cut through the mountains, carved by rivers that begin as glacial melt high in the peaks. Waterfalls cascade down sheer cliffs, their spray nourishing pockets of lush vegetation in otherwise barren terrain. As dawn breaks, the first rays of sunlight set the peaks aglow, turning snowfields and rocky ridges to gold. At night, the thin, clear air reveals a dazzling canopy of stars, the Milky Way arching above the silent mountains. The Andes is a land of constant transformation, where frost crystals form intricate patterns on alpine plants, and wind sculpts snow, sand, and volcanic ash into ever-changing designs. Every element here is shaped by the relentless forces of nature. The rocks of the Andes hold the memory of ancient worlds, fossilized plants and shells, petrified wood, and layers of sediment that reveal the story of vanished seas and primeval forests. The mountains are a living archive of Earth's history, recording the passage of eons in stone. The Andes is more than a mountain range. It is a world unto itself, a realm of extremes and wonders, where the forces of geology, climate, and life converge in a spectacular display of resilience and beauty. Here, every peak, valley, and plateau tells a story of adaptation, endurance, and the ceaseless power of nature. The Andes are not a static monument of stone, they are a living, evolving system, shaped by the relentless forces of Earth's geology over tens of millions of years. This immense mountain chain stretches over 7,000 kilometers along the western edge of South America, a direct result of the dynamic interplay between the planet's lithospheric plates. The story of the Andes begins deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, where the dense basaltic Nazca plate is forced beneath the lighter granitic South American plate in a process known as subduction. This subduction zone is one of the most active on Earth, generating immense pressure and heat as the plates converge. As the Nazca plate descends, it reaches depths where temperatures and pressures are high enough to cause partial melting of the subducted slab and the overlying mantle wedge. This melting generates magma, which rises through fractures in the crust, fueling the formation of volcanoes and contributing to the uplift of the mountain range. The Andes are home to the world's longest continental volcanic arc, with hundreds of volcanoes, many of which are still active, marking the path of the subduction zone. The ongoing collision and subduction not only create volcanoes, but also generate powerful earthquakes, as accumulated stress is periodically released along faults and fractures. The Andean region is one of the most seismically active on the planet, with frequent tremors and occasional massive quakes that reshape the landscape. These seismic events are a direct result of the immense forces generated by the ongoing convergence of the Nazca and South American plates. Volcanic eruptions in the Andes can be explosive, producing vast clouds of ash and pyroclastic flows, and depositing layers of volcanic material that contribute to the region's complex geology. The Andes are still rising today at rates of up to several millimeters per year in some areas, as the subduction process continues unabated. This ongoing uplift is accompanied by crustal shortening, where the continental crust is compressed, thickened, and folded, creating the towering peaks and deep valleys characteristic of the range. There, the subduction process also leads to the concentration of valuable minerals within the crust, as hydrothermal fluids mobilize and deposit metals in veins and ore bodies. As magma cools and crystallizes, it releases fluids rich in elements such as copper, gold, silver, and lithium, which become trapped in fractures and faults. The Andes are thus a geological treasure trove, containing some of the largest known reserves of these metals on Earth. Copper forms in massive porphyry deposits, while gold and silver are often found in quartz veins, all products of the region's intense magmatic and hydrothermal activity. Lithium, a critical element for modern technology, is concentrated in the high-altitude salt flats, or salas, formed by the evaporation of ancient lakes in the Andean plateau. The mineral diversity of the Andes is a direct consequence of the region's unique tectonic and volcanic history, with each metal tracing its origins to specific geological processes. The Andes' mineral wealth is locked within a mosaic of rock types, from ancient metamorphic cores to young volcanic flows, each layer recording a chapter of the range's evolution. The mountains themselves are a geological archive, with exposed strata revealing the history of sedimentation, uplift and deformation over eons. Sedimentary rocks, once deposited on the floor of ancient seas, have been folded and thrust skyward, while faults and fractures mark the scars of past tectonic upheavals. Igneous intrusions, such as batholiths and dikes, cut through the older rocks, providing evidence of ancient magma chambers and volcanic plumbing systems. Weathering and erosion driven by wind, water and glacial ice continually sculpt the landscape, exposing new rock layers and shaping the dramatic relief of the Andes. The Andes are a testament to the ceaseless power of geological processes, a story of continents colliding, oceans vanishing and mountains rising from the depths, a living record of Earth's dynamic and ever-changing nature. Stretching over 7,000 kilometers along the western edge of South America, the Andes are so immense that they generate their own weather systems, sculpting a breathtaking array of climates and ecosystems. This mountain chain is a living tapestry where the environment transforms dramatically with every shift in altitude and longitude, creating a world of contrasts and extremes. On the eastern slopes, the Andes rise as a formidable wall, intercepting moisture-laden winds from the Amazon basin and the Caribbean Sea. These winds, heavy with water vapor, are forced upward, cooling rapidly and condensing into thick clouds and persistent fog. The result is a region of extraordinary rainfall and humidity, nurturing lush emerald landscapes. Here the air is saturated and the ground is blanketed in a riot of green. Dense cloud forests, known as the Ceja de Selva, or eyebrow of the jungle, cling to the steep mountainsides. These forests are among the most biodiverse on Earth, with a complex structure of towering trees, tangled lianas and a dense understory. Perpetually shrouded in mist, the trees here are draped in thick layers of mosses, ferns and epiphytes. Orchids and bromeliads flourish in the humid air, their roots anchored to branches high above the forest floor. The constant moisture supports a dazzling array of fungi, lichens and delicate filmy ferns, creating a magical, almost otherworldly realm. Descending from the cloud forests, the landscape transitions into the Selva Alta, a pre-Amazonian rainforest. Here, towering emergent trees pierce the canopy, while the understory teems with shade-loving plants, giant ferns, and a profusion of flowering shrubs. The biodiversity is staggering, with countless species of insects, amphibians, and birds thriving in the dense foliage. In stark contrast, the western slopes of the Andes present a completely different environment, shaped by the mountains' rain-blocking effect and the influence of the Pacific Ocean. Here, the Andes block the moist air from reaching the coast, while the cold Humboldt Current chills the air offshore, suppressing evaporation and rainfall. The result is a landscape defined by dryness and scarcity. This powerful rain-shadow effect gives rise to some of the driest environments on the planet, where rain may not fall for decades and the land is sculpted by wind and sun. The coastal plains and lower western slopes are dominated by deserts and xeric shrublands. Here, only the hardiest plants survive: cacti, succulents and drought-resistant shrubs, their roots probing deep for moisture. The Atacama Desert, stretching across northern Chile and southern Peru, is the most extreme example. In some regions, rainfall has never been recorded, and the soil is so dry that only the most specialized life forms can persist. Yet even here, life endures. Unique plants such as the loretta, a dense cushion-like shrub, and the resilient tillandsias, which draw moisture from the fog, dot the landscape. Animals like the Atacama toad and the elegant vizcacha have evolved remarkable adaptations to survive on the scant water provided by coastal fog, known locally as camanchaca. Beyond the east-west divide, the Andes are defined by their dramatic verticality. Altitude shapes the environment as profoundly as latitude, creating a series of distinct ecological zones stacked one above the other. As one ascends from the steamy tropical lowlands, the temperature drops rapidly by about 6 degrees Celsius for every 1,000 meters. This creates a sequence of vertical bands, each with its own climate, vegetation, and animal life. Above the forests, the landscape opens into the high-altitude grasslands of the Puna and the vast Altiplano plateau. These windswept plains are covered in tough bunch grasses, cushion plants, and scattered shrubs adapted to intense sunlight and thin, cold air. The Altiplano endures harsh extremes, scorching solar radiation by day, freezing temperatures by night, and fierce winds that sweep across the open land. Here, unique species such as the vicuna and the Andean flamingo thrive, perfectly adapted to the challenging conditions. Higher still, above 4,800 meters, lies the Janca region, the realm of perpetual snow and ice. Glaciers carve the peaks, feeding rivers that descend to the lowlands far below. In this brutal environment, life is pushed to its absolute limits. Only the hardiest mosses, lichens, and a handful of cold-adapted invertebrates can survive the relentless cold, fierce winds, and intense ultraviolet radiation. This intricate mosaic of habitats ranging from rain-soaked forests to bone-dry deserts, from tropical valleys to icy summits, has made the tropical Andes one of the world's most important biodiversity hotspots. The region's complex topography and ever-changing climates have driven the evolution of a spectacular array of species, many of which are found nowhere else on Earth. Isolated valleys and peaks act as natural laboratories, fostering rapid speciation and endemism. The Andes are home to an estimated 45,000 species of plants, with nearly half of them endemic. Giant puya bromeliads, polylepis woodlands, and rare orchids are just a few of the botanical marvels that flourish here. Animal life is equally astonishing. The Andes shelter thousands of vertebrate species, including the elusive spectacled bear, the dazzling Andean cock of the rock, and a multitude of frogs and lizards uniquely adapted to their microhabitats. Birds such as the giant Andean Condor soar on thermal updrafts, while hummingbirds flit among high-altitude flowers. The Andes are not merely a mountain range, they are a vertical arc, a sanctuary of life in all its astonishing diversity. From the steamy forest to the frozen summits, this living spine of South America harbors a world of wonders, each ecosystem a testament to the power and resilience of nature. Stretching across the heart of the central Andes, the Puna and Altiplano form one of the world's most extensive high-altitude plateaus, rising between 3,700 and over 4,000 meters above sea level. These vast uplands span thousands of kilometers, bridging southern Peru, western Bolivia, northern Chile, and northwestern Argentina, and are flanked by towering volcanic peaks and snow-capped cordilleras. The geography here is defined by broad, windswept plains interspersed with saline lakes, salt flats, and isolated volcanic cones. The soil is often thin and rocky, shaped by ancient glaciation and volcanic activity, while the region's endorheic basins trap water, forming shimmering salt pans and mineral-rich lagoons. The climate of the Puna and Altiplano is marked by extremes. Days are dominated by intense solar radiation, with ultraviolet levels among the highest on Earth due to the thin atmosphere. Temperatures can soar under the midday sun, but as night falls, the heat rapidly escapes into the clear, dry air, causing temperatures to plunge well below freezing. This dramatic diurnal range, often exceeding 20 degrees Celsius, is a defining feature of the region. Fierce winds sweep across the open plains, carrying dust and shaping the landscape. Precipitation is scarce, with most rain falling during a brief summer wet season, while winters are dominated by biting cold and frequent frosts. The high elevation and aridity combine to create a challenging environment for life. Despite these harsh conditions, the Puna and Altiplano are ecological treasures. The grasslands are dominated by tough bunch grasses, cushion plants and spiny shrubs, all adapted to withstand drought, cold and relentless ultraviolet light. These plants anchor the soil, prevent erosion and provide the foundation for a unique web of life. The region supports a remarkable diversity of wildlife, many of which are found nowhere else. Camelids, such as the guanaco and vicuna, graze the open plains, their bodies perfectly adapted to the low oxygen environment and frigid nights. Their presence is vital, as they disperse seeds and fertilize the soil, maintaining the delicate balance of the ecosystem. These camelids are social, forming herds that roam vast distances in search of grazing. Their thick, insulating coats protect them from the cold, while their efficient respiratory and circulatory systems allow them to thrive where oxygen is scarce. Their fur is among the finest and warmest in the animal kingdom, a crucial adaptation for surviving the freezing nights and sudden storms that sweep the plateau. Both guanacos and vicunas possess a high concentration of red blood cells and an increased lung capacity, enabling them to extract oxygen efficiently from the rarefied air. These physiological traits are essential for survival at such elevations. When danger approaches, these animals rely on speed and agility, darting across the rugged landscape with remarkable grace, their powerful limbs propelling them over rocks and through sparse vegetation. The sight of a guanaco or vicuna silhouetted against the setting sun is a powerful symbol of the wild, untamed spirit of the Puna and Altiplano. The skies above are patrolled by formidable avian predators such as the Andean Condor and the caracara. These birds play a crucial role in the ecosystem, scavenging carrion and controlling populations of smaller animals. The condor, with its massive wingspan, rides the thermals rising from the sun-baked earth, while the caracara uses keen eyesight to hunt for insects, rodents and carrion. Wetlands and shallow lakes scattered across the plateau provide vital oases for waterfowl such as the Puna ibis and Andean goose. These birds depend on the seasonal meltwater and mineral-rich muds for sustenance. The ground is alive with small mammals and reptiles, each uniquely adapted to the cold, dry climate. Rodents burrow beneath the surface to escape the temperature extremes, while lizards bask in the sun to absorb precious warmth. Even the plant life is extraordinary. Cushion plants form dense, spongy mats that conserve moisture and resist frost, while mosses and lichens colonize bare rock, slowly breaking it down and enriching the soil. The saline lakes of the Altiplano are among the most extreme aquatic environments on Earth, with high concentrations of salt, borax, and even arsenic. Yet they support vibrant communities of microorganisms and invertebrates, forming the base of a unique food web. Andean flamingos thrive here, feeding on brine, shrimp, and diatoms that flourish in the mineral-rich waters. Their specialized beaks filter these tiny organisms, extracting both nutrition and the pigments that give their feathers a brilliant pink hue. Flamingos gather in large colonies, their synchronized movements and vibrant colors creating a spectacle against the stark, muted landscape. Their breeding cycles are closely tied to the seasonal rhythms of the lakes, relying on the rise and fall of water levels. These birds are highly social, forming flocks that can number in the thousands. Their presence is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of life in the Puna and Altiplano. The Puna and Altiplano, with their dramatic landscapes, extreme climate and unique ecosystems, stand as one of the planet's most remarkable natural laboratories. Here, life has evolved ingenious strategies to endure, adapt, and flourish in a world of thin air, searing sun, and icy nights, a living testament to the power and persistence of nature. Rising above the Puna grasslands, the Janca zone marks the highest reaches of the Andes, a realm where the land pierces the sky and the air thins to near transparency. Here the mountains ascend beyond 4,800 meters, forming a stark, otherworldly landscape sculpted by the forces of geology and climate over millions of years. The Janca is defined by its dramatic geological features, razor-sharp ridges, sheer granite cliffs, and vast fields of fractured rock, all shaped by relentless tectonic uplift and the grinding power of ancient glaciers. These peaks are the product of the ongoing collision between the South American and Nazca tectonic plates, a process that continues to push the Andes ever higher. The climate here is extreme and unforgiving. Temperatures rarely rise above freezing even at midday and can plunge far below zero at night. The thin atmosphere offers little protection from the sun's ultraviolet rays, resulting in intense solar radiation that reflects off the snow and ice, amplifying the harshness of the environment. Towering above the clouds, the Janca Peaks are often shrouded in swirling mists and sudden storms. Fierce winds sweep across the summits, sculpting cornices of snow and driving ice crystals into the exposed rock, gradually wearing down even the hardest stone. The landscape is dominated by permanent snowfields and glaciers which blanket the highest slopes and fill deep cirques carved by the slow movement of ice. These glaciers are dynamic, flowing rivers of ice that grind and polish the bedrock beneath, leaving behind moraines and glacial lakes in their wake. The glaciers of the Janca act as natural reservoirs, storing vast quantities of fresh water in their frozen depths. During the brief summer months, meltwater seeps from the ice, feeding streams and rivers that cascade down the mountainsides, nourishing the ecosystems far below. The skies above the Janca are the domain of the Andean Condor, a master of the high-altitude winds. With its immense wingspan, the condor rides the powerful thermals that rise from the sun-warmed slopes, effortlessly traversing the vast distances between peaks. The condor's adaptations to this rarefied environment are remarkable. Its large lungs and efficient circulatory system allow it to extract oxygen from the thin air, while its keen eyesight scans the landscape for signs of life far below. In the Janca, flight is a matter of survival. The condor's ability to soar for hours without flapping its wings conserves precious energy in a place where food is scarce and the distances are immense. The mountain slopes generate powerful updrafts as the sun heats the rocks, creating invisible highways in the sky. The condor navigates these currents with precision, gliding from one thermal to the next in search of sustenance. The vastness of the Janca is matched only by the endurance of its inhabitants. A single condor has been recorded traveling over 170 kilometers in just 5 hours, a testament to the boundless scale of this high-altitude wilderness. Nests are built on sheer, inaccessible cliffs high above the snow line, where the condor's young are sheltered from predators and the elements. The slow pace of life in the Janca is reflected in the condor's reproductive strategy, with long intervals between eggs and a lifespan that can reach 70 years. Near the edge of the snow line, the vicuna, a slender and graceful ungulate, grazes on sparse tufts of grass. Its presence here is a testament to the remarkable adaptations required to survive in such a harsh environment. The vicuna's golden fleece is the finest in the animal kingdom, with fibers so delicate and dense that they provide exceptional insulation against the biting cold and fierce winds of the Janca. Each strand of vicuna wool measures just 12 microns in diameter, forming a dense, insulating layer that traps body heat and repels moisture, a vital adaptation for life at the edge of perpetual winter. The vicuna's evolutionary journey has been shaped by the relentless pressures of the Janca, resulting in a creature perfectly attuned to the demands of high-altitude survival. The delicate balance of the Janca ecosystem is maintained by the intricate relationships between its inhabitants and the land, each species playing a role in the cycling of nutrients and the flow of energy through this frozen domain. The vicuna, with its resilience and grace, stands as a living symbol of the Janca's unique biodiversity and the evolutionary marvels that arise in the world's most challenging environments. The Janca is a place of perpetual struggle, where life is a constant contest against the elements. Blizzards can sweep across the peaks without warning, and avalanches thunder down the slopes, reshaping the landscape in moments. Only the hardiest plants survive here, tiny, cushion-like species that cling to the ground, their compact forms minimizing exposure to the wind and maximizing the retention of precious warmth. In the shelter of rocks and crevices, small rodents and insects eke out a living, forming the foundation of a fragile food web that supports the larger inhabitants of the Janca. Every organism that endures in this high-altitude desert of ice is a master of adaptation, equipped with specialized traits that allow it to withstand the cold, the wind, and the scarcity of resources. From a distance, the Janca appears barren and lifeless, a silent expanse of rock and snow. Yet a closer look reveals a hidden world teeming with life that has mastered the art of survival in the most inhospitable of places. The Janca is the ultimate crucible of endurance, a frozen kingdom shaped by wind, sun, and the relentless forces of geology, where only the most extraordinary forms of life can persist. Descending from the stark, wind-swept highlands of the Puna, the landscape transforms dramatically into the Ceja de Selva, literally the eyebrow of the jungle. This remarkable ecological transition zone forms a living bridge between the towering Andes and the vast Amazon basin, creating one of the most biodiverse and ecologically significant regions on Earth. The Andean cloud forest, or Ceja de Selva, stretches between 1,500 and 3,000 meters in elevation. Here the mountains are perpetually shrouded in mist and cloud, a result of warm, moisture-laden air rising from the Amazon and condensing as it meets the cooler mountain slopes. This constant interplay of air and water creates a unique microclimate, fostering an environment unlike any other. The air is saturated with humidity, nourishing a lush, exuberant tapestry of life. The Ceja de Selva is a hotspot of endemism, where countless plant and animal species have evolved in isolation, adapting to the ever-present moisture and filtered sunlight. The relentless humidity supports a spectacular diversity of epiphytes, plants that grow upon other plants such as mosses, ferns, bromeliads, and a dazzling array of orchids. These epiphytes cloak every available surface, from the highest branches to the forest floor, creating a living mosaic that is both intricate and vibrant. The forest structure is complex and multi-layered, with towering emergent trees rising above a dense mid-story and a shadowy understory. Sunlight filters through the thick canopy in shifting patterns, bathing the forest floor in a perpetual emerald twilight and providing countless niches for specialized life forms. The Ceja de Selva acts as a natural barrier and corridor, linking the high Andes with the lowland rainforest. Its steep slopes and tangled vegetation create isolated pockets of habitat, encouraging the evolution of rare and endemic species found nowhere else on the planet. Among the most iconic inhabitants of this realm is the spectacled bear, South America's only bear species. This elusive mammal is perfectly adapted to the cloud forest, where it roams in search of food and shelter. The spectacled bear is named for the pale markings that often encircle its eyes, giving it a distinctive, almost mystical appearance. Its solitary nature and secretive habits make it one of the least observed large mammals in the world. Exceptionally agile, the spectacled bear uses its strong limbs and long claws to climb trees in pursuit of fruits, bromeliads, and the tender hearts of palms. Its diet is highly varied, reflecting the abundance and diversity of the cloud forest. As it forages, the bear plays a crucial ecological role as a seed disperser, helping to maintain the health and regeneration of the forest. Its movements shape the distribution of many plant species, supporting the intricate web of life within the Ceja de Selva. The dense, mist-laden terrain provides the perfect refuge for the spectacled bear, allowing it to move almost invisibly through the forest. Its presence is often only hinted at by fleeting shadows or the rustle of leaves in the fog. The Ceja de Selva is also home to the ocelot, a master of stealth and camouflage. This wildcat thrives in the dense undergrowth, where its patterned coat blends seamlessly with the dappled light and shadow. The ocelot's fur is a work of natural art, adorned with spots, rosettes, and stripes that provide perfect concealment. This adaptation allows it to stalk prey with remarkable efficiency, remaining nearly invisible to both predators and prey. Each ocelot bears a unique coat pattern, as distinctive as a fingerprint, a testament to the genetic diversity fostered by the region's complex habitats. The ocelot is a versatile predator, equally adept at hunting on the ground, climbing trees, or swimming through forest streams. Its adaptability is key to its survival in the ever-changing environment of the cloud forest. As a nocturnal hunter, the ocelot relies on its large, sensitive eyes to navigate the darkness, preying on a wide range of animals from rodents and birds to small deer. Its presence is a vital indicator of the forest's health and balance. The continued survival of the ocelot and other top predators is a sign of a thriving, intact ecosystem, where every species plays a role in maintaining the delicate equilibrium of the Ceja de Selva. Among the most striking residents of the cloud forest is the Andean cock of the rock, a bird whose vivid coloration and dramatic displays are legendary. The male's brilliant orange-red crest and plumage stand out in the green gloom, serving as both a beacon and a signal in the dense forest. During the breeding season, males gather at communal display sites called leks, where they perform elaborate dances and calls. These gatherings are a spectacle of colour and sound, echoing through the forest and attracting females from afar. The courtship rituals of the cock of the rock are among the most vibrant in the avian world, a living display of the evolutionary creativity fostered by the Ceja de Selva's unique environment. After mating, the female constructs a sturdy mud-cup nest on rocky ledges, providing a safe haven for her chicks amid the forest's constant moisture and shifting mists. The cock of the rock, like many cloud forest species, is a vital seed disperser. By consuming fruit and spreading seeds throughout the forest, it helps regenerate and sustain the rich biodiversity of the Ceja de Selva, ensuring the continued vitality of this extraordinary ecosystem. The Andes were not merely a dramatic backdrop for ancient civilizations, they were the very crucible in which culture, architecture, and adaptation were forged. This immense mountain chain, stretching over 7,000 kilometers along the western edge of South America, dictated every aspect of life for those who dwelled in its shadow. The mountain's sheer scale and diversity of microclimates created a patchwork of environments, each demanding unique responses and inspiring ingenious solutions. The highest peaks, perpetually capped with snow, were revered as sacred entities. These mountains, known as Apu, were believed to be the guardians of the land, their presence woven into the very fabric of myth and ritual. The awe-inspiring geography fostered a world-view in which the landscape itself was alive, powerful, and deserving of veneration. The unpredictable weather patterns, raging storms, sudden mists, and dramatic shifts in temperature were attributed to the will of these mountain spirits. The cycles of rain and drought, so critical for survival, were interpreted as messages from the peaks shaping the rhythms of agricultural and ceremonial life. Architecture in the Andes was a direct response to this sacred geography. Ceremonial centers and settlements were meticulously aligned with the surrounding mountains, their placement and orientation chosen to harmonize with the contours of the land and the celestial movements above. Structures like Machu Picchu were not only feats of engineering but also acts of reverence designed to echo the forms and energies of the peaks that encircled them. The extreme altitudes of the Andes, often exceeding 3,800 meters, presented formidable challenges. The thin air, intense solar radiation, and dramatic temperature fluctuations demanded extraordinary adaptation, not just from living beings, but from the very design of settlements and agricultural systems. The landscape itself became a partner in survival. Terraces were carved into the mountainsides, transforming steep slopes into arable land. These terraces, known as andenes, were masterpieces of environmental engineering, designed to capture sunlight, retain precious soil, and manage scarce water resources. The stone retaining walls of the terraces stabilized the slopes, preventing landslides and erosion. Their construction created microclimates, with each level offering slightly different conditions for growing a diverse array of crops. The careful placement of stones also allowed for the absorption and slow release of heat, buffering plants against the cold nights. Ingenious irrigation systems channeled glacial meltwater from the peaks above, distributing it across the terraces through a network of canals and aqueducts. This mastery of water management was essential in a region where rainfall could be both a blessing and a curse. The result was a landscape transformed. Mountain slopes that might otherwise have been barren were turned into vibrant, productive gardens. The terraces not only supported agriculture but also became a defining feature of Andean identity, their geometric patterns echoing the order imposed upon the wild terrain. The architecture of the Andes extended beyond agriculture. Stonework was adapted to withstand earthquakes, with precisely cut blocks fitted together without mortar, allowing structures to flex and settle with the shifting earth. Buildings were often nestled into the mountainsides, their forms mirroring the contours of the land, blending human ingenuity with the enduring strength of stone. The seamless joints of Andean masonry, achieved through painstaking craftsmanship, created walls that have endured for centuries. These techniques were not only practical but also symbolic, reflecting a worldview in which harmony with the land was paramount. The diversity of crops grown on these terraces was staggering, with hundreds of varieties of potatoes, maize, and quinoa, cultivated in carefully managed plots. The mountain's verticality allowed for the exploitation of multiple ecological zones, each supporting different plants and contributing to a resilient food system. This agricultural mosaic was a direct response to the Andes' challenging environment, turning adversity into abundance and ensuring the survival of complex societies in one of the world's most demanding landscapes. The need to connect distant valleys and highland plateaus led to the creation of an extraordinary network of roads and bridges. These routes, often clinging to sheer cliffs or spanning deep gorges, were feats of engineering that overcame the formidable barriers posed by the mountains. The Capac Nan, or Royal Road, stretched for thousands of kilometers, its stone-paved paths and stairways threading through some of the most inhospitable terrain on Earth. The road system was designed to endure the elements, with drainage channels and retaining walls ensuring its longevity. Suspension bridges, ingeniously woven from grass fibers, spanned chasms where stone could not reach. Steep stairways were carved directly into the rock, allowing passage across vertical landscapes that would otherwise be impassable. These routes enabled the movement of goods, information, and resources, binding together a civilization that was as vast as it was diverse. The roads themselves became arteries of culture, facilitating exchange and unity across the mountain's daunting expanse. In the end, the Andes were not conquered, but embraced, shaped by the civilizations that rose within their embrace. The mountains dictated the terms of existence, And in response, a culture of adaptation, reverence, and innovation flourished, leaving a legacy etched into stone and earth, visible even today in the silent grandeur of the Andean landscape. The Andes, a colossal backbone of South America, have endured for millions of years, shaping the continent's climate, biodiversity, and hydrology. Yet today, these ancient mountains are beset by a convergence of modern threats that are altering their landscapes and ecosystems at an unprecedented rate. One of the most dramatic and visible impacts is the accelerated retreat of Andean glaciers. These glaciers, which once blanketed the high peaks in thick perennial ice, are now shrinking rapidly due to rising global temperatures and shifting precipitation patterns. As the glaciers diminish, the intricate network of rivers and streams they feed is disrupted. These watercourses, which have carved valleys and sustained unique alpine wetlands, are now experiencing altered flow regimes, with some drying up entirely during the dry season. By 2025, Andean glaciers are losing an average of 0.7 meters in thickness each year, an alarming rate that outpaces the global average by 35%. This rapid loss not only reduces the glacier's ability to store water, but also destabilizes mountain slopes, increasing the risk of landslides and glacial lake outburst floods. The consequences ripple through the entire region. As snowlines retreat and permafrost thaws, the hydrological balance of the Andes is thrown into disarray, threatening the stability of high-altitude wetlands and the seasonal rhythms of countless plant and animal species. Deforestation is another grave threat. The Andean forests, which harbor some of the world's highest levels of endemism, are being fragmented and lost at an accelerating pace. The removal of native vegetation disrupts the delicate microclimates that sustain rare orchids, bromeliads, and ancient tree ferns. The cloud forests and high-altitude Paramo wetlands, which act as natural sponges and water regulators, are particularly vulnerable. As these habitats are cleared, the region's ability to capture and slowly release water is diminished, leading to more severe droughts and floods downstream. Scientific projections warn that up to half of the Paramo ecosystems could disappear within the next 5 decades. The loss of these unique grasslands would mean the collapse of specialized food webs and the extinction of species found nowhere else on Earth. The shrinking and fragmentation of habitats push iconic Andean fauna such as the spectacled bear and the mountain tapir ever closer to the brink. These species, already adapted to narrow ecological niches, face mounting challenges as their ranges contract and food sources dwindle. The degradation of these ecosystems also undermines their role as carbon sinks. As forests and wetlands are lost, their stored carbon is released into the atmosphere, further fueling the cycle of global warming and amplifying the very threats that caused their decline. Mining, a long-standing feature of the Andean landscape, has intensified in recent decades. Open-pit mines and extraction sites scar the mountains, removing vast quantities of earth and rock and leaving behind toxic tailings that leach into soils and waterways. The runoff from mining operations often contains heavy metals and acids, contaminating rivers and streams. This pollution disrupts aquatic ecosystems, poisons native fish, and alters the chemistry of entire watersheds. In the high-altitude deserts, the global demand for lithium has triggered a new wave of environmental stress. The Atacama salt flats, among the driest places on Earth, are now dotted with evaporation ponds and extraction infrastructure. Lithium extraction requires the pumping of enormous volumes of groundwater, depleting aquifers that have taken millennia to accumulate. As water tables drop, the delicate balance of hypersaline lakes and wetlands is disrupted, threatening the survival of highly specialized flora and fauna. Among the most affected are the Andean flamingos, whose breeding and feeding grounds are vanishing as water levels recede and salinity increases. These birds, adapted to the extreme conditions of the high Andes, are now facing population declines directly linked to habitat loss and water scarcity. The threats to the Andes are deeply interconnected. The melting of glaciers, the loss of forests and wetlands, and the expansion of mining operations create a web of environmental stresses that amplify one another, destabilizing entire ecosystems. As water becomes scarcer, competition among ecosystems intensifies. Dry riverbeds and altered flow patterns disrupt the migration and reproduction of aquatic and terrestrial species, while the diversion of water for industrial use further reduces the resilience of natural habitats. Fragmented forests isolate populations of plants and animals, reducing genetic diversity and making them more susceptible to disease, invasive species, and the unpredictable effects of a changing climate. The Andes, once a stronghold of stability and diversity, now stand at a crossroads. The cumulative impact of climate change, deforestation and resource extraction threatens to unravel the intricate tapestry of life that has evolved here over millennia. The spine of the continent is under siege, and the fate of its ecosystems hangs in the balance, a stark testament to the fragility of even the mightiest natural wonders in the face of relentless modern pressures. Despite formidable challenges, the Andes are at the heart of a dynamic and multifaceted preservation movement, where nature's resilience is matched by innovative conservation strategies and cutting-edge scientific research. Across this vast mountain range, ecosystems are being restored through carefully planned rewilding and habitat connectivity projects. Corridors of native vegetation are re-establishing links between fragmented habitats, allowing wildlife to migrate, adapt and thrive as climate patterns shift. Large-scale reforestation of native polylepis forests is a cornerstone of Andean preservation. These ancient trees, uniquely adapted to high altitudes, are being reintroduced to degraded slopes, where they stabilize soil, reduce erosion, and create microclimates essential for rare flora and fauna. Polylepis forests, often found at the very edge of glaciers, serve as critical refuges for endangered species and act as natural water regulators. Their intricate root systems filter and retain water, supporting the delicate balance of high-altitude wetlands and downstream rivers. Restoration efforts have expanded across thousands of hectares, with millions of native trees now anchoring the slopes. These living networks buffer the impacts of climate change, slow glacial melt, and foster the return of native biodiversity. Protected areas are being strategically expanded, creating vast sanctuaries where natural processes can unfold undisturbed. These reserves safeguard entire watersheds, preserve genetic diversity, and provide safe havens for species at risk of extinction. In Ecuador, the expansion of Rio Negro Sopladora National Park has created a continuous protected corridor, preserving a biodiversity hotspot that harbors over 136 bird and 43 mammal species, many of which are found nowhere else on Earth. Ambitious rewilding programs are underway, reintroducing keystone species such as the jaguar, pampas deer, and giant anteater. These animals play vital roles in maintaining ecosystem balance, controlling prey populations, dispersing seeds, and shaping the landscape. The return of these species triggers a cascade of ecological benefits, from increased plant diversity to healthier soils and more resilient food webs, demonstrating the power of nature's own recovery mechanisms. Advanced technology is revolutionizing Andean conservation. Drones and remote sensors map inaccessible terrain, monitor ecosystem health, and detect early signs of environmental stress. Satellite imagery provides real-time data on glacier retreat, forest cover, and land use changes. This information is crucial for predicting water availability, tracking habitat loss, and guiding adaptive management strategies. On the ground, networks of camera traps, often powered by artificial intelligence, capture the movements and behaviors of elusive species like the Andean mountain cat, yielding insights into population trends and habitat preferences. These technologies enable scientists to develop targeted conservation plans, monitor the effectiveness of restoration efforts, and detect emerging threats before they escalate, giving a voice to the silent inhabitants of the Andes. The future of the Andes is shaped by the resilience of its ecosystems and the innovative strategies that support their recovery. Preservation efforts blend time-tested ecological processes with 21st-century science, harnessing the wisdom embedded in the landscape and the precision of modern technology to foster a sustainable future. Protecting the Andes is about securing the water, air, and climate stability that sustain millions of lives downstream, as well as maintaining the intricate web of life that has evolved over millennia. It is about honoring a rich natural heritage and ensuring that future generations of wildlife can flourish amid these awe-inspiring peaks. The spirit of the Andes is one of resilience, adaptation, and renewal. With continued innovation, vigilance, and respect for the natural world, the Andes can remain a vibrant, thriving stronghold of biodiversity and stability for centuries to come. Gap 2S. Beneath the rugged spine of the Andes lies a realm of elemental power, a vast shifting mosaic of molten rock and ancient fire. This is the volcanic heart of the Andes, a region defined by forces that have shaped continents and given birth to entire landscapes. Stretching over 7,000 kilometers, the Andean mountain range is home to more than 100 active volcanoes, forming the longest continental volcanic chain on Earth. Here, tectonic plates collide in a slow, relentless dance. The Nazca Plate plunges beneath the South American plate, driving magma upward through fractures in the crust. Over eons, this process fuels eruptions that build volcanic peaks, sculpt vast calderas, and deposit mineral-rich soils across the highlands. In the north, the towering cones of Cotopaxi and Tungurahua rise above the clouds, their snow-capped summits concealing churning magma chambers deep below. In the central Andes, the Altiplano Puna volcanic complex sprawls across the landscape, a patchwork of lava flows, obsidian fields, and bubbling geothermal springs. Volcanic activity here is as diverse as the landscape itself. Stratovolcanoes, with their classic conical forms, dominate the skyline, each layer of ash and lava a testament to centuries of eruptions. Shield volcanoes, broader and lower, spread their basaltic flows across the valleys, creating fertile plains and rich habitats for countless species. Fumaroles vent steam and sulphurous gases, painting the rocks in brilliant hues of yellow and red, while geysers erupt in rhythmic pulses, sending jets of superheated water skyward. Some Andean volcanoes, like the mighty Ojos del Salado, rise to over 6,000 meters, their summits dusted with snow even as their slopes bear the scars of recent eruptions. Lava tubes twist beneath the surface, forming hidden corridors where heat and minerals mingle in perpetual transformation. The intense geothermal energy powers networks of hot springs and boiling mud pots where mineral-laden waters bubble up from the deep earth. Each eruption is an act of renewal and creation. Lava flows harden into new rock, sculpting ridges and plateaus. Ash clouds drift on high winds, fertilizing distant valleys and lakes. Over millennia, these repeated cycles of destruction and rebirth have shaped the Andes into a landscape of striking contrasts. Towering black peaks, shimmering salt flats, and lush valleys nourished by volcanic soils. Life here adapts to the rhythm of fire and stone. Hardy lichens and mosses cling to warm rocks, colonizing the aftermath of eruptions. Over time, these pioneers pave the way for more complex ecosystems, turning barren slopes into vibrant mosaics of color and life. Even in the shadow of smoldering craters, the land pulses with the legacy of ancient volcanoes, an ever-evolving testament to the restless energy beneath the Andes. The volcanic wonders of the Andes are a reminder of the planet's creative force, a living laboratory where fire meets ice, and where the landscape itself is a story written in magma and ash. Deep within the ancient bones of the Andes lies a secret world, a realm where time, pressure, and elemental fire have conjured a dazzling array of rare minerals and natural treasures. Here the mountains serve as silent vaults, preserving the Earth's geological history in veins of stone and crystal. Beneath the surface, brilliant seams of copper and silver twist and wind through the rock, their metallic luster catching the faintest glimmer of subterranean light. In pockets of volcanic ash and cooled magma, clusters of vibrant turquoise and emerald silently form, each crystal a product of millennia spent in darkness and heat. These gems, hidden from the world above, are shaped by the slow drip of mineral-laden water and the relentless pressure of shifting tectonic plates. Elsewhere, the Andes cradle deposits of lithium locked within ancient salt flats that shimmer with a ghostly pale glow. These vast mineral plains, remnants of prehistoric lakes, are etched with intricate patterns of white and rose, their surfaces hardened by sun and wind. Beneath their crust lies a briny solution rich in lithium and other trace elements quietly accumulating over ages. Scattered throughout the range, rare minerals such as rhodochrosite, its deep pink crystals nestling in volcanic cavities, add splashes of unexpected color to the monochrome stone. Bands of gold thread through quartz veins, their presence marked only by the faintest shimmer when sunlight filters through cracks in the mountain's armor. In the high-altitude zones, crystals of vanadium, molybdenum, and boron can be found, each contributing to the hidden wealth and complexity of the Andean earth. In geothermal fields, sulfur crystals bloom in bright yellows and oranges around steaming vents, their vivid hues a stark contrast to the muted tones of the surrounding rock. Even the air carries traces of rare gases, exhaled in silent plumes from fumaroles and hot springs, leaving mineral deposits that glisten like frost in the morning light. These rare minerals and resources are the quiet legacy of the Andes, a testament to the mountain's endless power to create, transform, and preserve. In their silent depths, the Andes hold the memory of fire, water, and stone, woven together in a tapestry of hidden treasures, waiting patiently in the darkness for the light of a new day. Long before the Andes wore their cloak of rare minerals and towering peaks, a different force shaped their destiny: ice. As the world slipped into the throes of ancient ice ages, colossal glaciers unfurled across the Andean spine, carving the mountains with slow, unyielding power. These rivers of ice, some stretching for hundreds of kilometers, pressed inexorably downward, sculpting deep U-shaped valleys and jagged cirques high above the tree line. Beneath the relentless weight of these glaciers, stone yielded and fractured, leaving behind moraines, great ridges of rocky debris marking the glacier's advance and retreat. With each glacial cycle, the landscape transformed. Frost-shattered cliffs rose above frozen tarns, where meltwater pooled in crystal-clear basins, reflecting the silent majesty of the icy sentinels above. In the highest reaches, snowfields accumulated year after year, compacting into dense blue ice. Ancient winds swept across these frozen expanses, sculpting snow into rippling patterns and cornices. Below, meltwater trickled through crevasses, carving hidden tunnels and depositing fine silt that would one day nourish alpine lakes and rivers. As the ages turned and climates warmed, the glaciers receded, unveiling a landscape forever marked by their passage. Polished granite faces gleam where ice once ground relentlessly. Hanging valleys now cradle waterfalls, their origins etched in the memory of vanished glaciers. Patches of permafrost endure in the shadowed hollows, holding on to the last whispers of the ancient cold. Today the Andes' glacial legacy endures in the silent stillness of tarns, the rugged sweep of moraines, and the intricate lacework of highland streams. Each feature stands as a monument to the immense, patient artistry of ice, a force that shaped the mountains long before the world above ever stirred. Across the vast canvas of the Andes, life finds a way, painting the mountainsides with a tapestry of color and form unlike anywhere else on Earth. Here in the thin, crisp air, endemic plants have evolved breathtaking adaptations, allowing them to flourish where few others dare to grow. In the high-altitude grasslands, the ichu grass sways in golden waves, its tough blades bracing against biting winds and nightly frosts. Clinging to rocky outcrops, the Puya Raimondi rises, a colossal inflorescence towering up to 10 meters tall, studded with thousands of star-like flowers. This ancient survivor waits decades to bloom. its spiky rosette a fortress against the cold and aridity. Lower down in the mist-kissed cloud forests, the Andean wax palm stretches elegantly toward the filtered light, its slender trunk crowned with feathery leaves. Mosses and bromeliads nestle in every crevice, collecting droplets from the perpetual fog. Orchids, each a marvel of shape and hue, cling to mossy branches, their petals unfurling in secret corners, pollinated by the faintest breeze. On barren scree slopes, the resilient yareta forms dense emerald cushions. Its surface, gnarled and ancient, knits together centuries of slow growth, conserving moisture and warmth in the harshest environments. Nearby, the vibrant loretta glows green against the grey stone, its resinous scent drifting on the mountain air. In sheltered valleys, the polylepis tree, gnarled and fire-resistant, spreads its coppery bark in twisted layers. Its leaves, small and leathery, glisten with dew, providing a haven for mosses and epiphytes. Between the roots, tiny alpine flowers burst forth, violet gentians, golden calceolarias and scarlet nototriches, each adapted to the fickle dance of sun and shadow. Every leaf, every blossom, every resilient stem tells a story of survival, of ingenious strategies honed over millennia in the crucible of altitude and climate. Together, these endemic plants weave the living fabric of the Andes, shaping habitats, nurturing countless lives, and coloring the mountains with their enduring beauty. Here, in the silent embrace of stone and sky, the botanical wonders of the Andes stand as a testament to nature's creativity, quiet sentinels, thriving against all odds, forever rooted in the heart of the mountains. Above the swirling mists and beneath the towering peaks, the Andes pulse with life, an unseen world of creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Here adaptation is the rule, and every animal is a marvel of evolution sculpted by the extremes of altitude, climate, and terrain. On the barren highlands, the elegant vicuna grazes in small herds, its cinnamon coat shimmering under the piercing sun. Agile and alert, these delicate relatives of the llama move with ghostly grace, their slender legs built for the thin air and rocky slopes. Nearby, the Andean Condor rides invisible thermals, its vast wingspan casting fleeting shadows over the landscape. With each effortless glide, this giant of the skies scans for distant carrion, a silent sentinel soaring above the world. Among the crags and cliffs, the elusive Andean mountain cat stalks its prey. Cloaked in silvery grey fur, it blends seamlessly with the stones, its amber eyes sharp and unblinking. Few ever glimpse this secretive hunter, a master of survival in the harshest reaches of the range. Lower down in the mossy cloud forests, the spectacled bear pads softly through the undergrowth. Unique to South America, its shaggy black coat is adorned with pale facial markings, a living mask amid the emerald shadows. In the rushing streams, jewel-toned torrent ducks dance against the current, their webbed feet gripping slippery rocks as they dive for insects beneath the foam. Above, the Andean cock of the rock flashes a blaze of scarlet and orange, its extravagant crest and raucous calls echoing through the dripping foliage. Here, hummingbirds, tiny iridescent sparks, hover among the orchids, their wings a blur as they sip nectar from hidden blooms. On windswept plateaus, the Darwin's rhea runs with astonishing speed, its feathers ruffled by the chill. Nearby, the pudu, one of the world's smallest deer, moves quietly through the underbrush, its round eyes ever watchful. In the shadowy groves, the Andean fox prowls, ears pricked for the faintest sound, its russet pelt flashing through the twilight. Beneath the stones, the Andean marsupial frog shelters from the cold, its eggs cradled on its back until they hatch. In the turquoise lakes, shimmering schools of Orestius fish dart between reeds, their scales glinting in the sunlight. Above, the mighty harpy eagle surveys its domain, talons poised, a ruler of the ancient forest canopy. Each of these creatures, beast, bird, and amphibian, has carved out its own niche in this vertical world. Together they form a living chorus, a symphony of adaptation and resilience. The Andes, with their secret valleys and wind-scoured summits, remain a sanctuary for these wild spirits, a realm where evolution's artistry is on full display and the wonders of life endure in the shadow of stone and sky. The Andes, a majestic spine of mountains stretching across South America, are not just a barrier of stone and ice. They are the birthplace of some of the continent's most vital river systems, veins of life that flow from the heights to the lowlands, nourishing ecosystems and sculpting landscapes across their journey. At the heart of this hydrological marvel is the Amazon River, which finds its humble beginnings high in the Peruvian Andes. Here, meltwater from glacial peaks combines with rainfall to form the Apurimac River, one of the Amazon's principal headwaters. As it cascades down the steep slopes, the river gathers strength, carving deep gorges and creating spectacular waterfalls, its roar a constant reminder of the power held within these waters. To the west, the Andes give rise to the Magdalena River, Colombia's principal waterway. Emerging from the central Andean range, it meanders through valleys and canyons, its waters enriched by countless tributaries. The Magdalena's journey is a testament to the Andes' ability to shape and sustain life, its banks lined with lush vegetation and teeming with diverse wildlife. In the southern reaches, the Andes feed the mighty Parana River. Originating from the confluence of smaller streams in the Brazilian highlands, the Parana flows southward, its path marked by expansive wetlands and vibrant floodplains. The Andes' contribution to this river system is a reminder of their far-reaching impact, extending beyond their immediate slopes to influence distant ecosystems. The western slopes of the Andes, though drier, are no less significant. Here, the rivers are shorter but equally dramatic, plunging swiftly towards the Pacific Ocean. The Rimac River in Peru exemplifies this, originating from glacial melt and weaving through rugged terrain before emptying into the sea. These rivers, though seasonal, are crucial lifelines, sustaining pockets of green in an otherwise arid landscape. In the Altiplano, the high plateau between the eastern and western Cordilleras, lies Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world. Fed by numerous Andean rivers, this vast body of water is a shimmering jewel amid the high-altitude plains. Its waters are a delicate balance of inflow and outflow, a hydrological dance that sustains a unique aquatic ecosystem. Further south, the Andes contribute to the formation of the Patagonian rivers. The Baker River, Chile's mightiest, gathers its force from glacial meltwaters winding through deep fjords and temperate rainforests. Its turquoise waters are a striking contrast to the rugged, windswept landscape, a reminder of the glacier's ancient sculpting power. Each river, whether a raging torrent or a gentle stream, tells the story of the Andes' role as a water tower of South America. From the high-altitude lakes to the sprawling deltas, these waters shape the land, support diverse ecosystems, and create a mosaic of life that extends far beyond the mountain's reach. The Andes rivers are more than mere channels of water. They are lifelines, nourishing the earth and sustaining the intricate web of life that depends on their flow. In their ceaseless journey from mountain to sea, they carry with them the essence of the Andes, a testament to the enduring power of nature's hydrological cycle. Towering above the clouds, the Andes are more than a formidable mountain range. They are silent architects shaping the very climate of a continent and, in subtle ways, the world. Stretching over 7,000 kilometers, these mountains form an immense barrier influencing the movement of air, moisture, and weather systems on a grand scale. To the east, the Andes stand as a wall against the moist trade winds sweeping in from the Atlantic Ocean. As these winds ascend the slopes, they cool and condense, releasing torrents of rain over the Amazon basin. Here, the mountains nurture lush rainforests, fostering the world's greatest cradle of biodiversity. The dense vegetation, in turn, exhales vast amounts of water vapor, feeding clouds and driving rainfall patterns across South America. On the western slopes, the story is starkly different. The Andes cast a vast rain shadow, starving the coastal plains of moisture. Here the Atacama Desert unfurls, a realm so arid that rain may not fall for decades. This extreme dryness is a direct consequence of the mountains' lofty presence, their peaks intercepting nearly every drop of moisture before it can reach the Pacific coast. But the Andes' influence extends even higher, into the upper reaches of the atmosphere. Their rugged topography disrupts jet streams, high-altitude winds that encircle the globe. These shifting currents help steer weather systems, shaping storm tracks and influencing rainfall as far away as the Southern Ocean and the subtropics. The Andes also cradle glaciers and snowfields which act as natural reservoirs. As sunlight warms the peaks, meltwater trickles down, cooling the air and stabilizing local climates. This slow release of water helps moderate temperatures, tempering the extremes of both summer heat and winter cold. In the south, the Andes serve as a climatic divide, separating the damp, wind-battered forests of Patagonia from the arid steppe beyond. Here the mountains orchestrate a symphony of winds, channeling the fierce westerlies and sculpting clouds that sweep across the landscape, bringing life-giving rains to some regions while leaving others parched. From the swirling mists of cloud forests to the icy breath of high-altitude peaks, the Andes are a force of nature, their presence felt in every gust of wind and every drop of rain. Through their silent stewardship, they shape the rhythms of weather and the pulse of life. A majestic spine upon which the climate of a continent and the world depends. Beneath the sweeping vistas and jagged peaks of the Andes lies an unseen world, a mosaic of soils, quietly orchestrating the cycles of life. Here, in the shadow of ancient volcanoes and amidst the remnants of glaciers, the land is sculpted by millennia of geological drama. The result? A patchwork of soil types, each with its own unique chemistry, texture, and story. On the volcanic slopes, dark, mineral-rich soils cradle the roots of hardy grasses and wild tubers. These andisols, born from ash and lava, are light and porous, their loose structure allowing water to seep deep, nourishing the plants above. Their volcanic minerals unlock a bounty of nutrients, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, fueling bursts of green even at dizzying heights. Further down the mountains, where rivers spill out of the highlands, alluvial soils stretch across the valleys. Washed down by centuries of floods and meltwater, these soils are rich in silt and clay, their fine particles retaining moisture and minerals. Here the land becomes a living pantry, supporting thickets of reeds and the delicate blooms of wildflowers. In the high-altitude Puna, thin soils cling to windswept plains. Rocky and sparse, these jelly soils are shaped by freeze and thaw, their surfaces mottled with patches of moss and resilient cushion plants. Nutrients are scarce and only the hardier species survive, their roots weaving through gravel and frost-cracked earth. On the eastern flanks, where misty forests descend toward the Amazon, red and yellow oxysols dominate. Weathered by endless rains, these soils are acidic and low in nutrients, yet they host a riot of life. Here the secret lies in the thin layer of decomposing leaves and wood, nature's own compost, recycling nutrients in a delicate, perpetual dance. In the arid rain shadow, desert soils tell a different tale. Sandy and saline, they hold little water, their surface crusted with minerals left by evaporating rains. Yet even here, tenacious succulents and shrubs find a foothold, drawing life from the faintest traces of moisture. From the richest volcanic earth to the thinnest alpine crust, Andean soils are silent alchemists, transforming rock and ash into the foundation of ecosystems. Through their quiet labor, they anchor the wild tapestry of plants, feeding the creatures that roam above. In every handful of Andean soil, the memory of fire, ice, wind, and rain is preserved, a testament to the mountains' enduring power to nourish and sustain. The Andes, in their grandeur, are not only mountains of stone and snow, but also mountains of earth, each layer a chapter in the story of abundance, written in the language of soil. Beneath the mighty peaks and rolling foothills of the Andes, an ancient power is always at work, unseen, unyielding, and ceaseless. The story of the Andes is the story of tectonic titans, the relentless collision between the South American plate and the oceanic Nazca plate. Here, deep below the surface, continents are in motion, grinding and thrusting against one another with unimaginable force. Every rise and fall of the land, every jagged ridge and plunging valley is a signature of this silent struggle. As the dense Nazca plate is forced beneath the lighter South American plate, a process known as subduction, the crust buckles and folds. Layer upon layer of rock is compressed, warped and uplifted, sculpting the backbone of South America, the world's longest continental mountain range. Tectonic pressure fractures the earth, sending shock waves that ripple through stone. Fault lines zigzag under the surface, marking boundaries where rock grinds and slips. In some places, entire blocks of land are thrust skyward, giving birth to new peaks. In others, the ground is stretched and pulled, forming vast plateaus and deep, shadowed valleys. The Andes are a living monument to these forces. Folded strata reveal ancient seabeds, now perched thousands of meters above the waves. Volcanic domes and lava plateaus trace the fiery roots of magma, surging from the mantle, summoned by the grinding plates below. Earthquakes, sudden and fierce, reshape the landscape in moments, toppling cliffs, triggering landslides and rerouting rivers in their wake. Over millennia, tectonic activity weaves a dynamic tapestry. Mountains rise, then weather and erode. Valleys deepen and widen. New land is born from the heart of the earth. Even as glaciers carve and rivers flow, it is the restless shifting beneath the surface that sets the stage, writing the story of the Andes in stone. In this world without witness, the land itself is alive, forever transformed by the deep, slow dance of tectonic plates. The Andes stand as a testament to the restless earth below, a living record of planetary power, ever-changing, ever-enduring.